Moving on, we're going to continue with equations, but now we're going to include distributive property. So basically, if you haven't figured out by now, every lesson is exactly the same thing as the lesson before. It just adds one more step. So this lesson is the same way. Everything is exactly the same as the equations we've already solved, except we're adding one more step, which is distributive property. And if you remember, we've actually already learned that as well. So again, today, nothing is new. We're just putting together all the different lessons we've already done. So first thing we need to do is draw that line down through that inequality sign. From there, the next step is we just have to start solving the equations. Well, we need to get rid of those parentheses. Well, inside the parentheses, those are not allowed to combine because they're not like terms. So how do we get rid of parentheses when we don't have like terms? Remember, that's when we use that distributive property. So since the 5 is touching the parentheses, we just have to multiply 5 times the m, but it's touching the parentheses, so we have to multiply everything in the parentheses, so we also have to multiply 5 times 2. So 5 times m, we get our 5m, and 5 times 2, we get our 10. So on the left side of our equation, all this becomes is 5m plus 10, and we still have that equals 30. All we're doing is combining what's already there on the left side. So now when we get here, well, there aren't any like terms to combine, so we just solve our two-step equation. The 5 and the m are best friends, so we have to get rid of that plus 10. To get rid of the plus 10, we just have to subtract 10. But remember, what we do to one side, we have to do the same thing to the other side of the equation. So 10 minus 10 is 0, so we can cross that out. But we still have 5 m's on the left-hand side. Remember, on the line is where we put our equal sign. And then 30 minus 10, we get 20. But we're not finished yet because that m still isn't by itself. Right now it's touching the 5. And remember, touching means multiply. To get rid of multiply, that's right, we have to divide. So if m is multiplying by 5, we just have to divide 5 on both sides of our equation. So 5 divided by 5 is really just 1. So I have my 1m, and 20 divided by 5 is 4. So in this equation, m would equal 4. Now let's get just a little more complicated. We have positives, we have negatives, we have like terms, we have distributive property, we have everything we've learned up until this point. So first step is we have to get rid of parentheses. But remember, since they can't combine in the parentheses, we have to distribute. Most common mistake is people say, okay, that's a 3 that has to distribute. Well, it's actually not a 3. What's in front of it? It's a negative 3. So first thing I'm going to do is bring down that 12x, because that has nothing to do with my parentheses. I'm just going to bring that down for later. And I'm going to distribute the negative 3 to the parentheses, because negative 3 is touching those parentheses. So negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. So I'm going to bring down that negative 6x. And then negative 3 has to multiply this 2. But wait, what is it? A negative 2. So the negative times the negative actually becomes a positive 6. Then I still have on that line the equal sign, and negative 36 is what I still have on the right-hand side. Now that I distributed, I want to solve the equation. But wait, I have x in more than one spot. Well, what can I do then? That's right, they're like terms. So I can just combine 12 x's minus 6 x's, which means I just have 6 x's left. Plus, I still have that 6 equals negative 36. Now I have the two-step equation. So this is where I have to keep my best friend and get rid of that other one. To get rid of a plus 6, I minus 6. Which means on the left side I still have 6x equals, here's where people get mixed up. The only time we can cross out those negatives is when there's a fraction bar. And I don't have a fraction bar. So if I don't have a fraction bar, it just means I'm adding or subtracting. Well, remember, if I have a negative and another negative, the signs are the same. So same sign, add, which gets me 42, but it's add and keep. So if I have 36 negatives and 6 more negatives, I get negative 42. The last step to get rid of that multiply 6 is divide 6 on both sides. So that still gets me my x, which equals negative 7. So when you see these huge problems, don't freak yourself out over it. Take it step by step and do what you know how to do.